Hello once again. Welcome back. So let's do a quick session review. So this session wasn't even that long, only about 2 hours. Let's just get through it. So we start off, the party's having a spa day. Laura has to save Diogen using a water elemental because he tries to kill himself in the end of the last session, and then when she drops him, he tries to kill himself again. So Diogen randomly is showing absolutely no want to live. It's kind of strange. Then the party goes into this spa area. It's inside the actual oasis, and like as they're walking in, they realize that like no one else is here. It's kind of just them. So they have the full spa area to themselves. They see a lazy river. They go in the lazy river. Bunny and Cruel Wrench are together. Um, and they kind of float around the lazy river. Diogen tries to come in and flip them. Doesn't work, as we can see from our wonderful picture from ChatGPT. They get to enjoy it while Diogen, fails to flip them and thwart their plans. And then Cruel Wrench saves Diogen before he once again tries to drown himself, because again, for some reason, he just wants to die. It's very strange, but don't know. Then after this, the party begins to meditate with Alora. So they go in there, and Laura like tells them to like calm their mind and prepare for the upcoming ritual. And then Bunny starts asking you like, what is going on with this ritual? And she's like, oh, it'll allow you to connect to the one true Nen source. And then through using this sacrament that will bring you there. It can go poorly, but we have faith. Me and all the other captains have faith that it will go well for you all, and you will be able to make it. And Bunny gets a little nervous, but just to understand, or just helps explain everything to you. The idea is that Nen is this full encompassing, power. That kind of flows through every creature, but there's this idea of like the one true Nen source, where like all Nen goes, and where all Nen lives. Like kind of like the essence of it. And they say that this will like kind of connect you to it, either like get you more connected to maybe like the weave, in general D&D, but it will make you more in tune and bring your soul, your essence to that location, and let you sync up with the Nen of all the living creatures. So the issue is that on the way there, normally it takes a lot of years of meditation and things like that to like actually prepare yourself to bring yourself there yourself. You have essentially reaching enlightenment. But if you take these psychedelic drugs that they find in the desert, you can actually get there quickly. Now, the risks involved are that your soul is, being transported there out of your body. Um, you know, well, some people believe that. Some people believe nothing happens and you just have a experience in your brain similar to the real life drug of DMT. So you can take it. Your characters can take it as they want. I'm not saying that's literally what happens, but the people that do believe that brings you to the Nen source, they believe it travels your soul to the Nen source. But bad actors can attack you in that time. Different gods or demons that you've made upset can come in and kind of affect your life. But if you're strong enough and you have your own capability to stand up for yourself, you can withstand this. So the captains believe the party can do it. They've foreseen, they prayed and they believe in the future that shows the party being, essentially chosen. So they believe they can do it. So Bunny's a little bit more terrified, but eventually she or he agrees, and then the team has a nice dinner, and then they enter into the ritual. So the ritual, the team essentially, or the party, Team Heisenberg walks in, and they essentially see all of these fire dancers going on. So the oasis has been emptied. There are just everyone that they have not seen has been upstairs in these specific, fire-based outfits, dancing around bonfires, making music, playing drums, partying more or less. And Laura is leading the head dance team, and they are finishing up a, like choreographed event as the party walks up after being brought up by two guards. The party is a little bit more nervous, but eventually they kind of get the gist that they should walk up to the actual event and just start talking to Laura. And as they walk up, Laura like beckons them towards her. She's like, "Please, party, come to begin the rituals here. The Nen convergence rite is upon us." So this whole event I've been talking about is called the Nen convergence rite. You convert the way that you believe of Nen to the enlightened path from the unenlightened path. So you're converging. Ah, yes, for sure. So The party walks up, and Laura and all the priests start dancing around. Eventually Laura stops, and she like dances directly in front of the party, holding her flames in her hand, and she asks each one individually if they are prepared to take above this sacrament, if as long as they understand the risks and they are still willing to move forward. And as everyone does, Laura sounds, their ex person, Diogen, will join us on this rite. And then they all assume Diogen will join us on this rite. And then she shoots fire into the air with her hands. Eventually, though, the party fully agrees. She takes a huge fireball. She chucks it out one of the bonfires, like decimates it. And then she takes up this huge cauldron, walks over, heats up the sacrament, brings it over. Her and an elder prepare drinks for everyone in the party. All takes their drinks. And then they fall unconscious pretty shortly after. So then we get to Cruel Wrench's then Convergent Rite. This has already been added to Cruel Wrench's personal slides because I believe the lore we have coming up here, pretty important. Everyone gets a little quick, 30, 45-minute conversation, but all of them have to do with very important people in your past that you may either not have known about or you might be interested in learning more about. Cruel Wrench specifically feels this immense power as they're thrust, essentially, feeling as if they're on a spaceship almost thrust into the outworld, essentially their soul reaching this source of Nen. As they're here, they eventually find themselves in a land like filled with patterns and nothing but space around them. And they eventually see a door, and when they decide to open it, they can feel their consciousness split in two. One path goes down the following Vicus, one path goes down following PepsiCo, and they feel these two fully intertwined realities, go in each way. They're not really sure what way they would go, but they feel as if the bad and good of Vicus and PepsiCo play out in their head until eventually they are just thrust into a reality where they are under PepsiCo and they need to give PepsiCo a sales pitch. So Cruel Wrench just needs to tell PepsiCo about this new product idea they had. Cruel Wrench does not recall what was going on. They obviously high as shit and also just bin bombing between scenarios. And honestly, in my opinion, as a DM, they did have somewhat of a good idea. It's fine. But, the idea is the drug is taking over. This event is crazy. PepsiCo is like, I needed more out of you. Couldn't take this. So PepsiCo's like, you're not a good capitalist. You're fired. So, this, in my idea, is probably one of Cruel Wrench's, like, horrible scenarios, like Code Red. Like, she follows PepsiCo and then she gets fucking fired. She dedicates her life to him and she gets fucking fired, thrown out, loses her demonic abilities on the street. It's devastating. So in this devastation, Cruel Wrench, kind of walks to his door. She's getting walked out of the building. They find themselves in the woods. They're like, what's going on? They're just in the middle of the woods. And they realize as they look around, the trees around them are not trees, they're treants, which are tree-like creatures. And they all look down at Cruel Wrench and they say, the god of the trees, you have to pay for your transgression. And Cruel Wrench kind of looks up a little dejected. And then eventually the trees start slamming down on them. So all the trees start chasing Cruel Wrench. And they hear from the woods as someone screams from a voice. And they say, Cruel Wrench, Evelyn, Evelyn, come to me. So I kind of used both names because I wanted, my idea is that the person would know both, and they would try to do it. So this person called out the Cruel Wrench. They don't know who they are, but trees are coming. So Cruel Wrench locks on, hearing this person. This person grabs Cruel Wrench. Says, Cruel Wrench, we have to run. We have to get out of here. The trees are coming. And they run to the edge of a cliff. And then Cruel Wrench and this woman jump off into the water. And as they hit the water, they cascade. Their whole entire gravitational things flips. They completely flip 180. Instead of going down into water, they come up out of water into a cave where there's a little campfire and a tent set up. And as the woman helps Cruel Wrench get up, they explain that they are Lyra Wrench. They are Cruel Wrench's mother. Cruel Wrench's mother. We haven't even thought about this. Who are Cruel Wrench's parents? Cruel Wrench's mother comes up. She explains that she once worked for the Draconis army. She was a patron of PepsiCo, but she wanted her own child, and there's no other way for her to make it true, her wish come true. I'm gonna say she couldn't have children. It just didn't work when she tried, and she couldn't have a child of her own. So she wanted it more than anything. She wished to PepsiCo, and PepsiCo said he would make it. he would make it possible for her soul. So she gave up her soul to PepsiCo to have her child, and she thought PepsiCo would give her time with her child, let the child grow up. But after only a few short years, PepsiCo made good on his contract, took her soul, ending her life and splitting her into two. One being her, Nen essence, some of her power that was able to make it back to the source of Nen, but her actual soul, some might say her true essence, her humanity potentially, is brought back to PepsiCo. So this idea of a split reality, it's kind of tough to say. It in a way could just be like this idea of Lyra, this idea of Cruench's mother that they kind of remember and then are coming back from this thing, but they aren't really her mother. But it's possible that they are. It's tough to say that the soul isn't there, and you may have philosophical debates back and forth with me on what you believe that is, but either way, you see it. Cruel Ranch has learned that her mother is still held captive by PepsiCo. But in all of this emotion that's just crazy, she just, looks at Cruel and she just goes, I just want you to know, daughter, that I love you more than anything. And watching you has been the best experience of my life. And I just know that you're going to be able to do great things in this world. They embrace, they hug, and they cry one out. And that's what we're gonna pick up next session. If Crew Wrench wants to say anything else to their mother, they can be my guest. But otherwise, Cruel Wrench, PepsiCo just keep unveiling more and more about the evil parts of PepsiCo. That's the whole point of season 2 for Cruel Wrench. So even more fuel to the fire. So Lyra Wrench, new character to bring up. Um, yeah. So thank you for playing, and can't wait to see you on Monday.